Hello, my friends. Welcome to episode 2 of Coach Talks with Shreyas. And this week, I have a very special friend of mine who will be talking all things about personal branding. And we will be going through a lot of nuggets that the guest will share in. So, without further ado, we know you know who the guest is. So, I'm going to welcome Jerry Joes, your favorite digital marketer on LinkedIn. So, Jerry, welcome to the show, and I'm really excited to have you here with us today.
Hi, Shreyas. Thank you so much for this warm introduction, and always happy to be here and talking about my favorite things, and also have some fun with GIFs around here. So, just thank you so much for the invite. It's an honor to be here.
You're very welcome. And I really love the idea that you bring in gifts, and I'm sure you have a surprise or two for our audience. So if you're in the audience, please say hi. And just if you recognize any folks out there, start a chat, let us know where you're from. And I already see a few of my good friends, Paul, my wingman. Uh, Thank you, Achal. Thank you for joining us. Hey, Joe. Thank you for joining us. And if you have any questions related to personal branding, please do drop in, and I'll be picking up these regular questions as and when it seems appropriate, and we'll just let Jerry answer them. So, Jerry, before we start, just give me a quick introduction about who you are, what you do, and what made you, take interest in personal branding.
I actually did my MBA, and after my MBA, I started working for an organization in the marketing field. And that's when a lot of thought came into my mind. Like, you are building a brand, you are helping an organization out. But at the end of the day, can you apply those same principles to your own self and build a personal brand and see whether that works for you? Because I've heard a lot of people create amazing opportunities for themselves, their own close friends, and even their own companies. Like, for example, if major founders, if we talk about big examples like Elon Musk or Richard Branson, those are some big names. So people think of their products at a later stage, but think of them when we speak of Virgin or when we speak of SpaceX or anything. We think of them first. That's the power of personal brand, and that has always intrigued me or kept me excited. Can we do something like that as well? Though I'm not a big name right now, but can I create an interest, or what would people know me for? Like, for example, I love sharing about personal branding, or I love sharing about social media marketing, or I love talking about gifts. So when people actually think or talk about Jerry, are these things that they think of, or what are the other things that comes to their mind? And personal branding is always like a conscious building of your own story, wherein you have that control and you're consciously building a brand for yourself and helping people out and providing value to others. That's when I thought, okay, let me try all these principles which I've used to build a brand, or I helped an organization build their brand. Can I apply those and enjoy my own brand or recognition or improve my own credibility in this field? That's how this journey started, and it's been a couple of years for me where I've been actively involved in sharing these messages across LinkedIn. I've started with Twitter a couple of months back as well. As you know, we both started almost at the same time. So just trying out new things and just sharing our messages and inspiring other people also to share their journey with us.
Absolutely, you really nailed it when you talked about how people like Richard Branson, Oprah, or Tony Robbins have this clear-cut personal brand image, which really is for them when even while they're sleeping, the brand actually is bringing them
Right,
actual money. And all can agree that when you do your personal branding right, it can take you from being this completely unknown person to the heights of
right.
global recognition. And I can't stress for a better time than now to actually concentrate on personal branding. So that's a
You're actually
great
right there.
introduction.
Yeah, because I'm sure you would have also in an isolated space. I mean, the things are not normal. Like you're not working with your coworkers. You can't meet them often. Uh, though you have a big team. Let's say, for example, if you work, I'll take my example. I'm working in a big organization wherein in my marketing team there are over 70 people, but I do not get to meet them on a daily basis. Or even in the social team, we are around 5 to 7 people, but uh, when we were in office, we could meet every day. We could just sit, chat, and we could understand what each one is doing. But now, since we are all working in isolation or from a work from home model, it's not easy to communicate what you're actually doing or what are the things that you're doing. Probably your manager will know because you have a daily interaction, but a teammate of yours who knows what you do but does not have the visibility to your day-to-day work might not understand what you're doing. That is when the personal branding comes into the picture and where you're showcasing what you are doing to the world, where you're showcasing your work in on social media platforms or on digital platforms, collaborating with other creators or other members from the team, and just sharing it with your own community, building your own community, and sharing it with them to improve those values or the work that you're doing. It gives more visibility towards you.
Absolutely, you make a great point here. Actually, it becomes more exciting as well for the person who is doing that, when he shares with his colleagues, and there is every opportunity to receive good feedback, constructive criticism, and in the end, there is just scope of improvement when you start sharing your brand with the people you know. So this clearly segues to my very first question. So personal branding, when you do it right, it can create this powerful first impression because I know there is never a second chance to make that excellent first impression. So personal branding in a sense works like a great calling card. So what does personal branding include? What does it make of? And how exactly can it be applied to coaches and service-based professionals?
So, as you rightly mentioned, personal branding is so powerful that it can actually reach the other person before you actually have a one-on-one interaction or a meet one together. As you had shared on your post as well, whether you are an employee going for a job interview or a freelancer who's pitching it to a new client or a student who's applying for internships, as soon as you take an action over there, the other person before he dials your number in or has a conversation, he has already checked your digital presence. And if that digital presence has created an impact, obviously your profile would be there on his mind and would be shortlisted easily. I'll take a simple example. Like, for example, if let's say I am looking out for a job and I have created a good digital presence till now for working for created enough branding for myself, wherein I talk about personal branding, where I've talked about social media marketing. And if I'm applying for a social media marketing job, I would definitely attach my LinkedIn profile because that gives more weightage than a regular CV. Because uh, if a job opening is there, I'm not the only one who's applying for that job. Uh, we are blessed to live in India. We have a billion population, so we know how many people are actually applying for that job. It's probably in thousands. So how do you actually stand out in those thousand people that have applied for the job? Personal branding is one way that you can actually stand out, wherein the recruiters, when they shortlist the profiles, they can actually go through your social channels and check, okay, is this guy what he's actually saying on the CV or not? And if I'm applying for a social media marketing job and if they can actually validate my work through my social channels, then I'm automatically shortlisted, or I can skip a few initial rounds wherein the HR would just call me to get to know me better, to understand what are my likes, dislikes. Because through personal branding, I've already showcased those likes, dislikes in in my profile, and they might have already read through it, and they can directly push me to through the technical round or technical interview round, or any of the further rounds that are there. Now, talking about it from a coaching service point of view, or from coach's point of view as well, the best part about personal branding for a coach is you do not need to work on your expertise or your skills. You already have that. You are a well established brand within your own known people. Let's say you have a community of your own of coaches, and you are well known within those 15, 20, or 30 people, or the organizations that you work with. They know you well. But when you start consciously building your brand on a digital space, that's when the game actually changes. Because when you start building your own community, or your own people, or your own brand on digital platforms like LinkedIn, that's when you get to connect with more people. And the best part is you do not need to spend time on creating content, because that's where I think someone like me struggles. I still have just around 5 years of experience. I would still consider myself someone new, not a veteran in this field, but most of the coaches that I've met are veterans in their fields, and they have around 10, 15, 20 years of experience. So there is no shortage of content for them. Uh, and best thing is that since they are one-to-one coaches, they have so many examples that they can share. They have case studies that they can share, which will easily resonate with the target audience, and they can start building their community. So that is one of the best ways for any coach to interact with, or to build a brand on social platforms that we have.
Yeah, I totally agree. You make some great points, especially with coaches and service based professionals. There is definitely a lot of case studies that we can pull up. We can even share our own life experiences because that is something I've found, gets more relatability with my target group. Because if I show them that I've gone through the same issues and I've actually worked upon them and come out successfully, I think that will really help people to have that trust and belief. And from what I see, I think personal branding for me is about how I show up, how I connect with my clients, and channel it through the amazing pathways that we have, which might be rightly mentioned social media presence. Second might be your website, the live streams such as these, blog posts, and probably even in person content and appearances. So when we invest that time and energy into consciously cultivating a great powerful brand, I think that is when you start establishing one, your expertise, two, you
Right,
become in demand because people get to know you better and they
right,
relate to the person in you, and third, which is quite important, which is to build unbreakable trust with your clients or probably your prospects, because I think that
right,
is one key thing which will really drive people to either follow you or admire you. And the
right,
side benefit would be the word of mouth marketing. I think people really underestimate the referrals and
right.
this free advertising. So I think these are really great options for service based professionals in particular. And ultimately, receiving invitations for podcasts. I mean, how amazing that will feel. Like you're getting
Yeah,
featured on magazines and you're building this powerful relationships with influential personalities and probably industry leaders. So I think these are
exactly.
some great
And I think that is the I
benefits.
think we both are the live examples of that, Shreyas, because if you remember, we had a conversation, I think exactly a year back, wherein we were discussing on, okay, how do we build our brand, or how can we actually show up on these guest articles, podcasts, or how can we actually build our own community. And just look at us after an year of work. It's not like you can't do any work and you can expect a lot of results. It's just that I have seen you grow as well. Like last time when we had a conversation, probably in May 2020 and June 2020, we were discussing on what are the ways to grow or how to better build a brand. At that time, we had a discussion on saying that let's just stay consistent and just improve on the things where we are lacking. And that 1 year of your work, and if I look at it today, Now you're hosting talk shows, you're hosting live streams, you're active on multiple channels. It's not like you're just active on LinkedIn anymore. You have diversified your platforms. So that is the live example that anyone out here in the audience can see. Uh, that's a huge achievement. So it's just that you need to put in consistent efforts, make sure that you're adding value towards the audience, and you're helping someone out there, and automatically growth will happen.
Absolutely. I remember this conversation as clear as, if we have had this conversation yesterday. And I think you gave me three beautiful tips when we last met. And I was probably at about 800 connections or so. And thanks to Quadmates, that is how we even got an
Yeah,
opportunity to meet. And I think one you said was about consistency. Obviously, that was something you very much stressed upon. And I don't mean consistency as in posting every day. So you told me that if
right,
I was posting every 2 days once, I stick to that schedule and keep at it. And second thing that you told me was to start engaging more actively and sharing my thoughts without any prejudice. It doesn't matter if I was not a subject matter expert, as long as I could offer something that would complement the author's post. I think you really encouraged me to do that, and I think that really segues well towards personal branding as well, because I clearly remember commenting on people who had about 30K 40K followers and instantly striking that rapport, which in turn
right,
made it easy for me to connect with them. So I no longer had to really strike up or write up a very well crafted intro message so that my
right.
chances of acceptance are high. And finally, I think what you said was to be yourself. There is no need to imitate someone else, because we all are unique and no one can imitate me better than myself. So these three tips were clearly very responsible for the way I've grown in the past 1 year. And my social media journey is just 1 year old. I have not been on any other platform. Yes, I had Facebook, but it was very sparingly used. And now having to share that journey with you, I mean, this is one other point you brought in a little while earlier, which was to share it with people around you. And we
Right.
see a lot of good friends today that have joined us on the live stream as well, which clearly makes one point clear. Like, when you're offering value, people start valuing you. I think that is what this personal brand in the end will create for you. How true is that,
Exactly.
do you feel?
Right. I mean, you have rightly pointed out, because the more you provide value, the others will start appreciating you, or they start following you across all platforms as well. Because what I have personally noticed, I was active only on LinkedIn on 2020, but in 2021, I've started posting content on Instagram and Twitter as well. Twitter more. I've started spending around 4 to 5 hours on Twitter, just understanding, learning platform, and meeting new people. But I have seen that all the people that I follow on LinkedIn are now there on Twitter, and they have come across and they have said, "Hey, we looked up your profile, we looked up your Twitter profile, and it's good to connect with you here as well." So that is a good thing which I had never thought of. Okay, people would actually look for my profile on other social platforms and would like to interact with me. So that is one of the best things that's happened since I've consciously started building a personal brand and a community of my own.
Absolutely agree. So we have had some great points added by the audience as well. Paul really feels that depending on case studies and experiences, it really fits in well with people with experience. And I totally agree with Joe. Like, life experiences, they rule because
Yep.
it is your very own. And adding value, definitely, because this is something we all can agree. Like, when you start adding value, people start valuing you. So these are some
Right.
great points. So in the audience, if you're listening to us, if you have any questions, please do drop it in the comments. Keep the comments going. It is definitely going to be encouraging for both Jerry and myself. And whatever feedback, both positive, constructive, please do share them as well, so that we can definitely improve on them as well. So Jerry, this brings me to the next topic, which is
Yep.
probably, I wouldn't really say it as the elephant in the room, but it is really important to understand what are the foundation pillars
Hmm.
that you will base your personal branding on. And why
Okay.
I bring that is because today's customers and clients are totally different. They start questioning everything. So it's not
Right.
that they listen to you blindly. So they test, they see if it works, and people are
Right.
quick and pointing out if something doesn't work. So it's really important to attract clients with that deep trust and understanding. So, what do you
Right.
think are the foundational pillars for personal branding?
So that's actually a great question, Shreyas, because what's happening around these days is I'm sure you would have also seen that there are a lot of people talking about personal branding. Everyone speaks about personal branding. Everyone says that it's important. And fortunately or unfortunately, a lot of people also say that I am also working on personal branding. But when you ask certain questions, which I call as core questions, I might not find the answers. So that's when the disconnect happens between the community and the person who's trying to build it. So the pillars that you have asked, the first basic question which I ask anyone who says that I am building my personal brand is, why are you building your personal brand? So, what is your purpose for that? Is it, let's say, for example, for me, my answer is the reason why I am building a personal brand is I want to improve my credibility in the social media marketing space. I want to inspire people to share their stories, their journey, and build their personal brand. That is my why, for the reason which I am building my own personal brand. Second, the most important thing for me is, what are my values? Because do I consider myself as someone who would go beyond my regular thing and help someone? Or would I focus on building a long term relationship versus someone who's just for the transactional relationship? Like, let's say, Shreyas, you come and ask a service for me. I would happily give that service to you, or I will give the best service to you. But as soon as the service is over, the relationship is not there. So, what kind of relationships am I building? What are the values that I have? What are the values that I'm bringing forward? How am I treating my community, customers, or all the stakeholders that are involved? That is another important question which I definitely ask. The third question which I usually ponder upon while I'm talking about personal branding is niche important or not? So when you start your journey, obviously your niche, you might not have clarity on that. And that's okay. It's not a problem that you do not have a clarity on your niche, or you do not have the answer to where should I focus my energy on. Because when I also started my journey, or when I was studying marketing as a whole thing. It's only after in my second year of MBA, that I learned, okay, within marketing also there are thousands of subdivision, like content writing is there, digital marketing is there, analytics is there, email marketing, social media marketing, then creative design, creatives, then brand strategy. There are so many subsections of it, and how do I choose which one do I fit into? Take time to explore this. You do not need to get into one niche all of a sudden. So what I did was, share again from my example. When I started sharing content on LinkedIn, I did not land up on personal branding or social media marketing on day one. I wrote down 10 topics which I am comfortable speaking on or writing about. So those 10 topics included movies, included football, included gadgets, include personal branding was definitely there, social media marketing, gifts, all were there. But these 10 content pillars were the main topics or the niches that I had. And then after a couple of months, I evaluated my performance of each post, like which content bucket was actually performing better or adding more value to my community. And that's when I shortlisted three of my posts, topics that I generally post on, which is personal branding, social media marketing, and learnings from series, if some of you are aware of. So these were the top three performing content, and that's when I narrowed down my niche and I became more clear. Okay, I need to work more hard, and I will need to provide more value on personal branding topics, social media marketing topics, and that's when I started sharing these topics. And the best part is, the community that I had. they started they started giving me feedback as well. Like if they agreed with me on certain points, they said, okay, I agree with you because I have experimented this and this has worked for me. But there were times wherein a lot of community did not accept my point of view, and I was happy to hear that, because 90% of your audience would agree with whatever you type in or whatever you post. There are few people who genuinely care you and genuinely push you every day, who will criticize your thoughts, who will make you think harder. And that's when I thought, okay, this is great. These are the three niches that I worked on, and let me continue building on that. Then next pillar of why personal branding is important is it helps you improve your credibility, gives you authority on the subject that you're speaking on, and it gives you the confidence, because unless you try and speak out, or unless you try and post, you will not have that confidence. The confidence that I have today while speaking with Shreyas and everyone out here, it's only because I have gone through the phase wherein if it was my first live today, I would have been like, oh my god, what do I need to do? How do I speak? Am I saying it right? Am I saying it wrong? So getting yourself out there, or putting yourself out there helps you improve on that confidence, and that builds up slowly in a couple of months, and then you can actually share content with much more confidence. You can share results more than anything. Results are one thing which impresses everyone, because you've actually had a problem, you solved the problem, and now that problem has become a case study for you, that solution has become a case study for you. So share results as much as you can, share your personal experience. Personal branding, the word personal over there is for a reason. You might have something that you are not good at today, but tomorrow you might be great at. One example which I remember of Shreyas is, let's say, I remember he had connected with Ryan, and he said that he's not good at speaking in the initial days of Quad Meets. But then I saw him hosting rooms on Quad Meets. Now that is progress. So that is something that was amazing to see, and something which I was actually proud of. Okay, this is a person whom I know from long time, and he was not the one who was a speaker at the initial days, but now he's, instead of being a speaker, he's a moderator as well. So that was something great, and that is how, or that is all about personal branding.
Definitely. Thank you for bringing that example up because, that really segues to what I see as the foundational pillars for personal branding. The first one being authenticity. Being authentic is not just about, being true to whatever you believe or the values that you sort of, follow it religiously, but it is also about speaking from the heart and showing up as you are, and also in a way owning your vulnerability. So that is what I really feel authentically showing up means, and that is what happened over the course of how quad meets really shaped my experiences as, first as just a participant, then I followed it up by hosting almost 6 to 7 sessions a week.
Right,
And the second thing is reliability. So, like being reliable is, in a way, it is essentially about being consistent. So people know
right,
that if they have something that they want an answer to, they can really rely on what you're posting. So they know that at particular date and time, this will be the post that this person is going to post about, and it need not be very specific. I mean, when I say reliable, if I take my own example, it might be about anything related to life and executive coaching. It might be work life balance, and similarly when it
right,
comes to you, it can be anything about personal branding. And third is confidence. I mean, a confident people, they have this certain radiant energy that, goes out, and even on camera or probably in person, it is most probably the same. And the
right,
audience, they have this very, a good knack of understanding what
right,
the particular person shows up, and whether they can also decipher if, whatever you're showing up is what you believe in. So it is
right,
that medicine which you prescribe for yourself, and is that what you teach and share, and you also follow it in whatever life situation that you find in. And finally, uh, this is probably very true for coaches and probably service-based professions, which is being value-driven. So, as a coach, I have to really choose and live by the strong values that I find is really most important. And I can build a very powerful and trustworthy personal brand surrounding
Right,
this value driven thing. So, having this core principles that work for me and sharing my story as to how I made it work probably is something that I can really leverage on so that the audience get hooked up. They can really relate to it, and in the end, it just becomes a good way to generate leads. So I think these
right.
four are my foundational pillars that I readily choose to follow, and it is more or less in sync with what you just told.
Right, right.
So, just looking at the chat, Vidya makes a great point. It is personal branding is about highlighting our USPs and weaving a good journey, sharing our experiences. So, this really segues very well to the next question that I have, which is how can we craft a well written or well portrayed personal brand story? How can we
Right.
make our personal story inspire that emotion in our target audience?
So that's a great question because a lot of many times what happens here is when a person decides that he needs to work on personal brand, there needs to be a story involved. There needs to be emotions because you need to connect with the other person, and the other person at the end is a human. It's not a system. Though you might be interacting on systems, but you need to connect with that person, and the connection that you build with emotions are much more powerful than if you showcase numbers or any other factual data points. So while you're creating a brand story of your own, of yourself, uh, so if you actually check my about me section, what I've done is it took me a couple of weeks, a month time actually to create the that about me section because I wanted to be very clear on why I'm doing this thing or what made me lead through here. So I sat and just thought about the time that why did I end up in marketing? What makes marketing so special that it automatically excites me or it brings me to that phase? So I was thinking back when I was in 11th or 12th, there was a concert which my school was hosting, and I had to make sure that I sell those tickets and get in revenue for that event and the concert. And I enjoyed doing that because at that time we had Facebook. I used to send friend requests, interact with a lot of friends. I loved the digital platform at that point of time. But at that point of time, there was no paid marketing as such. There was no social media marketing or digital marketing terminology at that point of time. It was all organic. What was happening there? So I used to connect with people who used to enjoy concerts or who used to visit lot of clubs and all that stuff. I invited them for the event and I enjoyed that whole experience. And then I completely forgot about that experience. Then I went and did my graduation. It's when I started with my post graduation when I was doing a live internship, live project wherein I was working with an organization. I was helping them understand social channels. I was helping them connect with a community online. It's when I started building a brand for themselves on online space. They were just a normal retail shop. They did not have any digital presence. It's just that that particular locality knew about that shop or that retail outlet, but not people beyond that. So I tried to create a digital presence, and that's when I thought, okay, this is something that I enjoyed back in school as well. And I love creating a community online, building communities online, building brands online. And when I see, okay, one more follower added, that brought in a different level of excitement for me. So if a lot of people who have viewed Schitt's Creek, they know when Moira automatically says, "Hey, we've got one follower," and she starts showing to Alexis. So that's the kind of feeling that I had as well. Hey, we got one follower. Hey, we got one like. We are doing something great. Let's keep doing that. So that was something that really excited me and made me explore my niche, which is now digital marketing or social media marketing more. That is my brand story. Like why I started that because it always kept me excited. It always brought that joy out of me. A lot of people find social media marketing boring and I understand that. But for me, it was completely different. Everyone has their own excitement level for their own things. Like, for example, if Shreyas is talking about it, if he would be talking about coaching people, misting the work-life balance myths, he would be excited about that. So every one of us has that one excitement story which is there. How can I actually help the other person bring that story out and make sure that story is actually helping you build your own brand and probably monetize it at a later stage so that you can do that full time while you're just enjoying, you are also earning money, and there's no other ways wherein you're getting distracted or you're taking unnecessary stresses and all. So I think that is how I created my brand story. So what you need to do is spend some time with yourself. You won't get the answers on day one. Spend some time. What makes you happy? What keeps you excited? And what will keep you excited and passionate even after 5 years? So that is something that you really need to think through. Because there are a lot of things that you might start today, but not end up doing it a year later. So make sure that the thing that you're really passionate about, or you want to talk about, you will still be passionate about 5 years down the line.
Definitely. So, one thing that really resonates with me is about personal brand story is not a one-day journey. It is a
Yeah,
lifelong journey, and it is the averages of the good and the bad times together. It doesn't happen overnight. It doesn't happen over a month, but it is a continuous process. And what you shared in the end about how can I help, or how can I write something that can help my target audience, I think that really answers the question very beautifully, which is some struggle with initially, if you remember our conversations as well, which was, I'm not a writer. I'm not born to write content. And
I'm
me
still not a
following
writer.
this situational leadership, which I strongly believe in, which essentially means you do what you do best. So in my case, I can do best, which is coaching. So I'm not
Yeah,
content writer, but one good thing about asking yourself that last question, which is how can I help, is that it will create this unforgettable story which will essentially bridge the gap between you and your client. It need not be having this excellent display of vocabulary or this fancy stuff. It just has to be about building your character, that is your experiences, identifying some 3 to 4 key polarities that really make your story stand out. So in my case, the best thing that I would say as my polarities would be my very own struggles through work and life balance, me having to having progressed through this job market in the recent times, because I entered the job market in the beginning of 2020, and
2020,
we
yeah.
all know what happened later on.
Right,
And that is one of the reasons why I started looking at LinkedIn. And third is to find that 1 or 2 experiences which really gives you that excitement. Like you clearly mentioned, for me it might be work-life balance myth busting. For you it might be sharing your own personal branding story. I think finding those 3 or 4
right.
key experiences and trying to list out what worked well and what could have been something that you could really improve on, and what is
Yeah,
something that you really want to change going ahead. I think these three things will really help you build this excellent brand story without having to be certified in writing or having to take up these
exactly,
n number of courses on content writing, copywriting. I mean, those two are different things, but in the end,
exactly.
your experience is definitely yours, and you are the best author that there can be to write about your own experiences.
Yeah, I think and a lot of young people who are still in college uh, had approached me and said, so Jerry, I'm not a content writer. I'm not good with writing. I'm not good with English. I can't write big fancy words, or I can't impress people with words. I'm like, personal branding and content writing are two different things. Make sure that you separate them out. If you're good with IT, if you're good with coding, share insights of what is the latest technology that has come out, what are the latest technologies that you are working on, what excites you. Even if your English is bad, it's okay. I'm not, I mean, people won't judge you for English. People would be thinking about you or evaluating what is the content that you have written. Is that making sense? Is that adding value to any one of us? Okay, this is a new technology that's there in the market. Let me figure it out as well. So make sure that that myth of content writing has to go hand in hand with personal branding. Obviously, if you have a good vocabulary, it will help you. But if you don't have, don't let that stop you. If you're comfortable in writing in any languages, LinkedIn supports a lot of languages. Use that. It can be Spanish, German, Hindi. I don't know yet whether it's allowed or not. I have not seen a post which is typed in Hindi, but definitely click a picture and post it as an image. Nobody is stopping you. There are a lot of people who can read any local languages that are there. Make sure that you are adding value and you're sharing your true personal experience, because that is when you build a true connect.
Those are really great points because this is one thing that social media really excels in, which is to accept posts in probably any language that is possible for people to code in. So I've definitely seen posts in German. Me staying in Germany, I've definitely seen a lot of people post
Right,
in German, and the engagement is definitely strong. It does not mean that just because you're writing in a language which might not be spoken elsewhere, it doesn't mean it won't perform well in that particular country. And yes, I've
right.
seen many people post Hindi shairis, they posted
Yeah,
poems, and they receive a ton of engagement because again social media is far diverse and it has a very wide reach, so you'll find probably audience for any particular thing under the sun. So there is definitely
correct.
no restriction on the type of content that you need to put. Even one liners work very well on LinkedIn. I mean, there is
Right.
one of our viewers, I think Sneha, she posts these
Neha does
really
an
good
amazing one-liners. Yeah,
one liners, and she gets a ton of engagement. And I've seen people post really long posts, and even that gets engagement. So
right,
the key thing here again is it goes back to the basics, which is staying authentic, being relatable, and finally this is something you have stressed upon a lot of times, which is to just be yourself. You don't
yes.
have to
Just share your
really
personal
imitate anyone.
experience.
Absolutely. So far, Jerry, we have talked about what is personal branding, what does it entail for coaches and service-based professionals. Then we have seen some foundational pillars, and we have followed it up with creating a good brand story. So now we come to the most important part, which is to build an excellent community to support your personal brand, who remain loyal. And
Yeah.
as you clearly mentioned, like when they see a particular opening or a particular topic, how do you make yourself pop into their mind when they see that? So how do you create a loyal community?
Right. So, building a community is a very important topic when it actually comes to personal branding, because you are building your brand and someone needs to receive the communication that you're sending across. It cannot be just sent out and forgotten. I would talk about one of the biggest mistake that I've did while in the initial days of my journey was I used to post content and then just leave the platform. That's it. I never replied back to comments. I rarely used to reply back to DMs. I rarely used to comment on other people's posts. So these were the three biggest mistakes that I did during the initial days of my personal branding journey, and I learned the lesson the hard way. It's just that obviously after observing, after realizing why my posts are not performing, and obviously learning through other good influencers as well out there, asking them for suggestions, what I'm doing wrong. They clearly pointed out if you're trying to build a community, you need to respond to people. Without people, you're nothing. You're just building yourself. And what you are trying to build over there is today you might connect with someone, but tomorrow it might be this a different person. That same person might never come back if you have not built that relationship. So how can you change that? As you can see, a lot of people today in our chat, we have been interacting with them, we have been chatting with them for over a year, and that's how the relationship is built. Like from Joe, Kaushi is there. We have known for a long time. We have built community with them. We've built a relationship with them where it's far beyond LinkedIn. It's we are not connected just for the purposes of, let's say, liking each other's post or commenting on each other's post. We know a lot of other aspects of each other's life beyond LinkedIn. Now, I'll share a simple example. If you know Gloria from UK, she is also based there. When I had COVID, I was out of action for almost 3 weeks. There were around 5 to 10 people who reached out on my personal phone, just checking up. Hey, are you okay? Are you doing fine? We have not seen you around on any social platform. What's up? So that is something which I never expected. I was like, okay, I will inform everyone once I get the energy to be active on social platforms, because COVID was a tough time and all that stuff. But the messages that I got, that was so touching. And that is actually the power of community. And how you genuinely build that is when you move away from just transactional relationships and care for the other person beyond likes, comments, shares, or numbers, or these vanity metrics. So this is something which uh, inspired me to actually build a lot of great community out there. And the reason why I'm also helping a lot of creators or entrepreneurs or founders to build a community is because not everyone be a customer today, but there might be wherein they might require a service, and the first thought they might have would be of you. So make sure that when they think that they need certain kind of services, they think of you. So let's say, for example, tomorrow, if someone asks me, "Hey, do you know any executive coaches or life coaches?" Automatically, Shreyas' name will pop up in my mind, and I can refer Shreyas to you because I've been interacting with them or I built that relationship. So that's the power of the relationship building and the community that you have. Second thing which I would really stress upon is take time out and connect with them on one-to-one Zoom calls, even if it's for like 15 minutes. A lot of people might not be open for it. That's okay. But people, if you see that there are few users who are constantly commenting on your post or being present every day on your post, supporting you every day. Take 5 to 10 minutes and just connect with them. Just have a one-on-one conversation. The conversation can be anything. It can be about dogs, movies, TV shows, anything. Don't stress over it, and please do not try and sell in these stages. So if you, so I think one of the main reasons why people would connected with me was because I have never sold any product or service as of now. I'm happily employed at a place, and then I provide free. I also provide consultation services to few of my friends, but I'm not trying to actively sell anything to anyone. I think that was one of the main reasons why people were open enough to listen to me or open to understand what I'm trying to say. Because uh, if you actually start hearing a pitch from someone, there is a barrier which comes, and you block yourself. You don't let few emotions out because you can see that you are being pitched to, and you would have to respond to yes or no. So when you remove that equation of yes and no, then people are more open. And when you're actually trying to build a genuine relationship, people would be open to you, and that community is far more powerful than anything else that you can build on social media.
Yeah, these are some key, takeaways. And from what I hear you say, it absolutely makes sense. Cold selling, people do not really warm up because again, it comes down to the basics, which is to build
Right,
trust, build that confidence, and at least showcase your expertise, if not the fullest, at least come up till about say 40-50% on the progress bar, and then start really seeing what people might be able to look up for you.
right,
And secondly, what you said about the community, when you're absent from social media for an extended period of time, they really, come back to you through at least personal messages with the people that you share a good connection with. And the same thing happened to me. I mean, you reached out when I took a month's break when I was
right,
settling in. and many people did the same. And one other thing that I really find is that when we say we are so well connected, we do not really mean that we engage on each and every post. If you have
Right.
observed that as well, we definitely keep you in thought, in our thoughts. We sometimes just read and we won't have that time to really engage on each and every post, but we do make
Right.
it a point to come back and be consistent, to show that we are there to support. And that is one thing that many of us should understand. The moment we build this good rapport, it doesn't mean that you start forcing them, you sending them DMs asking them to check your profile. That once
Right.
again will break the relationship, and it will just be a futile effort. um,
Exactly.
and yeah, again, so
I
it
think
all.
that's a very good point you brought in, Shreyas, because a lot of people. I'm not saying it's from anyone's end. Let's say, for example, let's take our own self. If I built a connection with you, Shreyas, uh, you would be happy to engage with my post when you see it on your feed. But if I start pestering you with WhatsApp messages, I start DMing you on Instagram, hey, I did a new post on LinkedIn. Can you go like, share your thoughts? You would not be comfortable. You might do it because you're too kind and you're too polite on the first go. But after 3 or 4 times, you would start ignoring me. And I think that is where the purpose is defeated. You're not trying to build something, you're trying to forcefully do something or make sure the other person is forced to do something because you have built a connection before. So that's again not a long lasting relationship. It's again a transactional relationship wherein you're there only to get things done, and after your thing is done you might forget and move on. So again, that's a very good point that you brought up, Shreyas.
Oh, definitely. No, like we all have, our commitments. We, both of us, we are doing our full time job and at the same time using this platform as a side hustle, maybe. I don't know the right word to say. For me, coaching is not my full time job. So I am
Right.
actually committed to my organization. I have, or rather, we both have certain rules and regulations that we need to follow.
Correct.
And most often than not, there are about 750 million users on LinkedIn, and there might be
Right.
some posts which might violate the company guidelines. And however close we are, those are some circumstances where we might not be absolutely able to engage at all. So that
Right.
understanding is the crucial or the crux in this relationship, because it's a two-way street. So understanding goes
Yeah.
both ways, and if it shows in the feed, well and good. Otherwise, it's a clear-cut indication that you need to probably improve on your content, try and see if there is a better time to post. So there is
Yeah.
always this win-win opportunity that you can see when you have this great rapport that builds up. Because I mean, like, let us take our own examples. I might have engaged probably twice or thrice a week at most on your
Yeah.
posts, and you do the
Right.
same. But even in the end, we just we laugh it off. We know both of us are just busy with our commitment, busy with our family, and it
At the end of
doesn't
the day,
make
we
sense
are
for
there for
us.
each other. I mean, if any one of us
That's
generally needs there, we are there. So the relationship is beyond a LinkedIn post or a Facebook post or a tweet or an Instagram post. So that's how it is supposed to be.
absolutely. And the most crucial point here is, again, we are on social media to, target a particular group of audience. So it is really very important to understand that not everyone is your target audience or an ideal
Right.
client. The more you accept this truth, I think you can be more fearless and you can just show up more authentically and share your content, because my niche is very specific. So my target is probably mid-level and above executives and small business owners. So my ideas will be fully aligned in helping only those two particular groups.
Right.
And this might be something what some other people might not want to hear. Some was looking for life coaching. I think work life balance in a way might just touch upon on those particular things, but it might not be very specific. So
Correct.
understanding that truth is where I think the real progress starts happening. Because I'm sure when I first started, I've pestered you probably 10 times, 12 times a week. And sometimes I pester Joe as well, trying to
I
understand
think
why I don't get
I,
enough engagement. But in
even
the end,
I've
it's
done
just
that.
that.
Even I've done that. So I've done to others. So I think all of us have started with the same journey, and now we have reached there, and we are just sharing the knowledge. That's okay. You might feel it in the beginning, but then you will learn through it.
Absolutely. So I think that is where I really found, me as a coach and as a person I've developed is to accept some of these hard truths. When you see people with, when they post, they have 100,000 followers. Yes, it might pinch a bit, but in the end, it all boils down to the quality rather than
Right,
quantity, because in personal brand, I think from whatever we have discussed, we can both mutually agree that it is always the emphasis is on quality and not quantity. So similarly, it's
right,
not the quantity of posts that you put out, rather it is the quality of posts, because I have seen people just posting thrice a week and they're doing amazing. I mean,
yep.
I've seen you, like, I think you post during the weekdays, and weekends you're slightly, pulled back.
Weekends, yeah,
So, I mean, so we are still growing. And Joe, I know she takes her Saturday off, I think from Friday evening till
yeah.
Sunday morning. She's totally off because of Sabbath.
Sabbath,
And even if it
yeah,
is not for that, I know she would take that time off. So, I mean, even when you're not posting every day, you're still growing, you're still making that impact. And, when I see Twitter, I get engagement on my tweets probably after 3 to 4 days. So
right,
that particular engagement is still going. So it is really important that we accept these truths, and it's okay to pester someone, and until you understand, because they will also be able to accept that fact that in the initial stages it is difficult, but you have to somehow outgrow that, want or the need of engagement to classify your
right.
content as good or bad. It is, I would rather place the emphasis on impact, and even if it is
Correct.
impacting one person, I would
That's
definitely
good
consider
enough.
myself.
Because let's say, for example,
Success.
if you as a coach have posted a content and you've got 10 likes and one conversion out of that, versus someone who's got 1,000 likes and no conversions, you did a better job. Though you had 10 likes, but you got one conversion. So that's the
That
result
really
for you.
makes
So,
sense. Yes. So far we have created the foundations. We have created the map as to how our personal brand story should look, and now we just discussed how we can build in that community, how we can attract people that share a common vision. So the
mhm.
final step in this mega jigsaw is to understand how we can put that personal brand into action. So what are
Yep.
some actionable tips that you can share with our audience?
So I'll start simple with the actionable tips. All these, what we have spoken for almost an hour now, are good when you hear it. Unless you start executing, nothing will happen. So execution is very important. Planning, strategy, it's great. It's great on paper. It's great to listen to. It's great to hear. But no magic will happen unless you start executing these things. So the first step is decide on what are the platforms that you want to be available on. Let's talk about personal branding. If you want to increase on social media platform, first decide on your why. Talk about why. Talk about your why to the community. It's okay. You don't need to know your target audience in the initial stage. You don't need to know your niche in the initial stage. Just talk about why personal branding is important to you, what it means to you, and what you plan to accomplish. So once you start talking about this, you start getting feedback from people, and you start identifying, okay, these are the topics that I love talking about. These are the topics that I love writing. Let me talk about these subjects, and this will actually help me. Then start building on topics. Then, if you remember, I spoke about content buckets. Write down all the 10 to 15 topics which you are comfortable writing on in the first 2 months. Write all those 15 topics. After you've written the 15 topics, create post, at least one post under that each content bucket, and make sure that you're posting it on LinkedIn. Again, consistency on LinkedIn does not mean you post every day. It can be once a week, it can be once in 2 weeks, once in 3 weeks. But make sure if you have decided on a schedule, which is 1 in 3 days, you're posting one content every 3 days. It cannot be one post on first, and the second post is on 10th, third post is on 21, fourth post is on 30th. No, that does not work. Uh, if you want to just do 4 postings in a month, make sure on every seventh you're doing that posting. So that also counts as consistency. So make sure that you have all the initial topics covered. And once the initial topics are covered, it's very important to evaluate your performance. At the end of 2 months, evaluate which content got the highest number of engagement, got the highest number of views, got the highest number of comments. Which content bucket got the highest number of feedbacks? Which content bucket got the highest number of positives versus negatives? What is working best for me? Then shortlist 3 to 4 topics which you are comfortable in and start writing on only those 3 to 4 topics from month 3 onwards. These are the basic steps that you can start with. In your first month, spend more time reading others content. Spend more time interacting with new people, because even if you post new content, the maximum you would get a traction of 100 views, 150 views, 200 views. The only reason is because you have just started. It's not your fault, it's not anyone else's fault. It's just that you have started new, and for the LinkedIn algorithm to get to know that you are a content creator, it takes time. So while you're doing your initial first 10 to 15 posts, make sure that you don't stress over likes, comments that you're getting, or the views that you're getting. Make sure that you are commenting on others' posts and you're interacting with at least 2 new people per week. So that is the number that I took my initial journey, wherein I made sure that I'm interacting with 2 new person every week, and that 2 new person is not like commenting on their post. It's either a DM conversation or a conversation beyond LinkedIn. It can be anything, wherein I know more about them. I know about their work life. I know about their passion. I know about their interest. That's it. Just genuine building relationships. Uh, if you start with these things, I think you're in the initial first 2 months, all your doubts would be cleared by itself. You won't need any mentor, or you would not need to look at anyone else's performance rate or anything. You yourself can evaluate and see, okay, these are the posts that I should be doing on. These are the people who love interacting with me. Let me interact with them. Let me build a connect with them, and let me start building my community with these 3, 4, 5 people. It can be any number. These are the, I think, basic steps that you can start your journey with.
I think this is where the beauty of personal branding really kicks in. I mean, it is so simple because all the answers so far we have discussed, it just lies in the basic. It lies in the foundational pillars that we
Right.
spoke about. It just finally it comes to those four things. One is being authentic. Second, relatable. Third, being confident, and fourth, just sharing your true self. So being
Right.
yourself. I think this identifying and understanding those foundational pillars will automatically answer the rest of the complicated questions as well. I think that is
Right.
something that you have so eloquently brought it out. So, to our audience, please do follow Jerry on his various social media accounts. From the way he spoke, it doesn't seem like he's too big of a person, but let me tell you, he has about 27K followers on LinkedIn and 16K on Instagram, and he's almost reaching 2K on Twitter. So he does know what he's doing, and he's doing it across various social media platforms. And follow Social JJ for exclusive tips and tricks on personal branding. So there is a whole list of carousels that you can find on this profile on LinkedIn, which really speaks a lot about personal branding. And frankly speaking, I've learned a ton just by reading those posts, and I do implement it on a daily basis. So I'm sure no matter which domain or which niche you follow, I think these tips are quite valid. So go give him a follow. I've tagged him in the post as well. So you can just go ahead and check it out. So before we close in, I think there's one thing that you promised to deliver. And you told it would be a surprise giveaway, so I'm very much interested and eager to know what that surprise is. So, Jerry, if you
Yeah.
could share the surprise giveaway
So
with us.
I wanted to share something, as in I had just completed an year of consistent posting on LinkedIn. For me, consistent posting means every day I was posting because I had taken up that challenge and I completed that on 30th of June. So I have a special surprise for everyone. Anyone who's watching who loves to analyze their data, LinkedIn analytics, you must have heard of the company called Shield, and I have a special coupon code or voucher for you, which will give you 15% off for 6 months. Use my name as the code, which is JERRY in caps, and you would get 15% off for 6 months for Shield. Uh, just try it out. This is my special gift to all the people. Thank you so much for supporting me in my journey, and I'll try and get in more giveaways for a lot of people within my community. I'm speaking with brands as well, a lot of brands, to try and get in more deals with and sponsorships for the people in my community. So make sure that you enjoy this, use it, and have a great time. Thank you so much for your support.
That definitely sounds like a good offer because while you were talking about it, I just checked Shield, and I think 15% off or the basic package, which comes in at $8, really makes too much of a difference. I mean, that really brings into about $6, and for six
Yep.
months from the the wide array of metrics that I see on the Shield app, I think it is really worth it. Rather than manually, putting in those entries on an Excel sheet like the way I do, it might
We
just save
used
you
to do
some
that. Yeah.
tons of time because
Trust me, I did that Excel for 2 months and it was a pain. You don't need that Excel. If you have Shield, they have got you covered for everything. It's just a click of a button and you'll get the entire results. So do give it a try. And they offer a 10-day free trial as well. So please go ahead and do give it a try.
and I really must say that you're on top of your gift game as well. That is a really great. I think you said it was OBS. So if anyone is
Yeah.
wondering,
Yes.
so that is the open source code called OBS that Cherry uses. So you can create some interesting, presentations while your video is on, and probably play with some GIFs. I mean, I must say, Jerry, like GIFs, they definitely bring in a ton of engagement. And without Shield, I don't know if you would have even been able to, quantify the importance or quantify the relatability of GIFs to the audience in general. What do you think?
Exactly, because I think Shield was one of the main reasons why I was able to debunk a myth of one of a veteran in the LinkedIn field. So he had, when I started my journey, I used to consult with him a lot, and he said, "Jerry, you've started sharing gifts, but believe me, gifts won't take you a long way. It's it's not appreciated on this platform, and it's not meant for LinkedIn." I said, "So give me 1 year's time, and I'll prove you wrong." And when I shared the data with him, so all my GIF content has reached 1 million views. I took 12 months time, but that's okay. The regular content got a million views in 60 to 70 days, but GIF content took time, but the engagement rate of around 5% plus a million views debunked the myth of GIFs is not for LinkedIn. Uh, Honestly speaking, there is nothing as this content is not suited for this platform. There's nothing like that. If you have a content, if you have a format which is there in your mind, go ahead and share. You will find your audience. Another example for you is, if you know Rahul Subramaniam, he's one of the best Indian comics. He shares content on LinkedIn and his content is loved by everyone. So again, LinkedIn is a professional platform, but we have stand-up comics sharing content on LinkedIn. So there is it.
Absolutely. And one interesting feature that I noticed is that it gives you the cost associated with at all your content was, you know, paid for. So I think
Right.
you've saved about $9,000, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah. So, for example,
And
if you go for like a paid advertisement on LinkedIn to get a million impressions and get certain engagement rate, I would have paid $9,000. But honestly, I paid zero, and I got that much worth value through organic content.
So that is the power of personal branding that speaks for itself. So Jerry, I'm really very, very grateful for you taking almost 1 hour plus of your time. And I know you're a busy man and you're just recovered from COVID as well. So I'm really grateful that you accepted my invite. And this is just the second episode. So having you on with me is has given me great confidence. And I'm sure the audience also loved it. So thank you very much. And I
It
hope.
was a pleasure. It was a pleasure, Shreyas. Trust me, because having a conversation with you, I mean, I absolutely love it. You know, whenever we have spoken of, we've always gotten on a call quickly. And I really wanted to be a part of this because you know how much I'm passionate about personal branding and what I love speaking on personal branding or social media marketing or gifts. And thank you so much for inviting me. It was an absolute pleasure.
Thank you very much. And yeah, thank you, Joe, Sneha, Kaushi, Achal, and everyone that have joined us on the various social media platforms. It really means a lot to both of us to see this level of support, engagement, and encouragement. So I thank you once again. And I'll be soon meeting you with another interesting guest on Coach Talks with Shreyas. Until then, get curious and follow hashtag Coach Talks to get these constant updates. So take care and have a good rest of the week. We'll be meeting you again on the next episode very soon. Thank you. Take care.